Dr. Ranjani Parthasarathy is a professor in the Department of Information Science and Technology, Anna University. Her area of specialization is computer architecture and networks. One of her special interests is Indian language technology systems. She is actively involved in research in all the areas and has over 50 publications to her credit. She has about 25 years of experience covering both industry and academics.
Welcome to the UGC lecture series in computer science. This is a series of lectures in computer networks. We have been looking at the network layer protocols. Today's topic would be on the IP protocol. We will be looking at more details on the IP protocol. Specifically, we will be looking at IP addresses. We will look at subnetting, supernetting and classless addressing. Just to give you a picture of where the IP protocol resides in the protocol stack, it is below the transport layer and above the link layer. Coming to the datagram format, it has a header followed by the payload. We have already looked at many of the fields which are there in the header, starting from version and all the way up to the checksum. Then it also has the source IP address and the destination IP address. Now it is with respect to this IP address that we are going to have a discussion today. Coming to the IP addresses are 32-bit addresses. The 32-bit addresses are split into two portions, a network ID and a host ID. That is, out of the 32 bits, n bits are used to indicate the network and the rest of the bits, the 32 minus n bits, indicate the host. So, this address again is also written as a 4 decimal numbers separated by dots. This is referred to as the dotted decimal notation. Since we have 32 bits, you can look at it as 4 octets, 4 bytes, and these are written in the dotted decimal notation in this form. This is basically for ease of use by human beings, because for us it is much easier to remember these decimal numbers rather than a series of bits. So, if you say 203.154.87.12, it basically refers to the these four decimal numbers would basically refer to the binary numbers which correspond to these decimal numbers, and this is what you will have in the 32 bits. The network software, however, will view the address as a 32-bit binary value. So, this is another example of this dotted decimal notation. So, if I have an IP address like this, this basically corresponds to 128.11. You can see that this basically corresponds to the binary value of 11, 3.31. So, let us just do a small exercise in converting from IP addresses binary to dotted decimal notation and backwards. So, this is an example where I have got an IP address and we are trying to convert this into the dotted decimal notation. So, what do we need to do? Group each of these as 8 bits, already they are kind of grouped. So, find out what is the corresponding decimal number. So, this we can see is 128 plus 1, 129.11.11.239. Similarly, you can see that this is 249.155.251.15. That is the answer that we have written out here. Now, this is the reverse process, that is, given an IP address in the decimal notation, we are just trying to find out what is the corresponding binary equivalent. So, here what we do, we take each of these and now convert them to the corresponding binary numbers. So, 111, this is your 0110, 1111 is 111, dot 56, dot 45 you have the binary equivalent here, dot 78 you have the binary equivalent here. Similarly, 75's binary equivalent is this, 45's binary equivalent is this, you can see that this 45 and this 45 are the same. Then you have 34 here and 78. See that both of them end in 78, so the last 8 bits are the same in both the addresses. So, in IP addresses, we use the idea of classes, that is, we use what is called as a class based addressing mechanism, and in classful addressing the address space is divided into 5 classes A, B, C, D and E. So, the number of bits allocated for the network part and the node part basically depends on the class. That is, if it is a class A address, we allocate a different number of bits for the network part and a different number of bits for the node part. Similarly, for class B, C, D and E. So, let us look at how this division is done. So, if you look at the class based addressing mechanism, in a class A address, it always starts with a 0 in the first bit, it is followed by 7 bits as the network ID and the rest of it form the host ID. So, we say 8 bits altogether form the network portion of the address and 24 bits form the host part of the address. In a class B address, it starts with a 10 and 16 bits altogether form the network ID and another 16 bits will form the host ID. A class C address starts with a 110 and 24 bits form the network ID and 8 bits are given for the host ID. Class D is used for multicast addressing. Here you have 1110 as the starting. So, this will identify that it is a multicast address, the rest of the addresses are they indicate the multicast address. Class E is 1111 and that would indicate it's basically used for experimental purposes, really not in use that way. So A, B, C, D are the ones which get used. So you can see that by looking at the first byte, you can actually identify the class of that particular IP address. So let's look at how we identify the class. So you can see that if it is 0, then if the first byte has a starting bit as 0, it's a class A address. If the starting 2 bits are 1, 0, then it's a class B address. So you know that if you check for the first bit as a 0, you know it's a class A. If it's not a 0, you check whether it's a 1, and if the next bit is a 0, you know that is a 0, it's a class B address. If that's a 1, check whether the next bit is a 0, it indicates a class C address. Again similarly, if that's again a 1, you check with the next bit is a 0, that indicates a class D address, and this becomes a multicast address. If it is 1111, then it is a class E address. So this is basically how we identify the class in binary notation by just looking at the first byte of the address. The same thing can be done in decimal notation as well. So you see, note that depending on the binary value that you have, the first byte, since the class A address starts with a 0, the first byte can only take values from 0 to 127. So if the first decimal value you have ranges from 0 to 127, we know that it's a class A address. Similarly, class B we know starts with a 10, so which means this can only take ranges of 128 to 191. So 128 to 191 indicates a class B address. Similarly, class C, note that class C starts with the 110 and 111 will correspond to a class D address. So 110 to whatever you have in these rest of the bits, that corresponds to a class C address. So 192 to 223 would be the range of a class C address, 224 to 239 similarly is the range of a class D address, and 240 to 255 is the range of a class E address. So let's just do a simple exercise again to identify the class of each of these addresses. So if I have this particular 32-bit address 000001 followed by some numbers, all we need to do is look at the first byte and look at the first few bits in this in order to identify the class of the address. So if you look at the first address, you can see that it starts with a 0, first bit is a 0, so this is a class A address. Similarly, the second one, the first 4 bits are a 1, so this is a class E address. So this is a reverse of the exercise that we just did. The previous one was in binary, now the exercise is in decimal notation. So given that the number is in decimal notation, we know the range of addresses that correspond to each class of addresses. So now that you have 227.12.14, so we just need to look at the first digit, the first number out here. The first number is 227, it's between 224 and 239. So now we know that this range corresponds to class D, so this is a class D address. 252, it ranges between 240 and 255, so it's a class E address. 134 is between 128 and 191, so it's a class B address. So now if you look at the net ID and host ID for all these addresses, you can see how the whole thing looks like. So you can see that in class A, fewer bits are used for the net ID, larger number of bits for the host ID. So this basically indicates that class A addresses are for large networks. That is, a large number of nodes can be supported in a class A address. You can see that we have 24 bits for the host ID, which means 2 to the power of 24 different host IDs can be supported. So you have 2 to the power of 24 different hosts being supported on a class A network. A class B network on the other hand has 16 bits for the network ID and 16 bits for the host ID. So 2 power 16 different hosts can be supported and you can have 2 power 16 such networks. So that's the classification in the class B network. In a class C network, you can see that the host portion is small, it's only 8 bits. So you can have up to 256 nodes being supported in a single network, but you have 2 to the power of 24 different such net IDs available for you. Class D we can see it's a multicast address, and of course class B we know is reserved for the future use. The basic point I wanted you to look at from this particular picture is that class A is used for large networks, class B is used for medium sized networks, and class C is used for small networks. So let's look at the blocks of addresses that we have in these different classes of addresses. So we know that class A is 0 to 127. So 0.000 to 0.255.255.255 can be looked at as one particular block of addresses. That is, all addresses which have the network ID as 0. This would correspond to one particular block. Similarly, you would have 127 such different blocks because you have 0 to 127 as the different network addresses. So if I take a particular block, say net ID 73, okay, so this consists of addresses ranging from 73.0.0.0 all the way up to 73.255.255.255. So if you look at the network addresses in this, they would all be on a large network, and 73. You can see that 73 is something which will be common to all these addresses, 73.0.0.1 to 0.0.2 all the way up to 73.255.255.254. 255 is normally a special address, so is 73.0.0.0, which indicates it's a network address. So you have 0.0.1 to 255.255.254, right? So 2 to the power of 20, whatever, you have 2 to the power of 24 minus 2 different such addresses which are available. Okay, so this is the blocks that you have in the class A. Similarly, you can look at what we have in class B. So if you look at class B, so remember that two octets are used to identify the network part of the address. So 128.0 and then you have 180.8, similarly 191.255. So these are examples of the net IDs that you could have. Okay, so you have 128.0 to 128.255, then 129.0 to 129.255, all the way up to 191.0 to 191.255 are your different net ID blocks that you have in a class B network. So if I take a sample block, say 180.8, the node IDs that I have in this block would range from 180.8.0.0 to 180.8.255.255. Note that the network ID portion will be common for all the nodes which are there in this particular block, which is what we are seeing over here. 180.8.0.1 all the way up to 180.8.255.254. The first two octets have the same value. Same thing can be seen in a class C address. A class C address, remember, the first 3 octets refer to the network portion of the address. So net ID here would range from 192.0.0 all the way to 192.255.255, and then it will be 193.0.0 to 193.255.255, and all the way it will go up to 223.255.255. So this would be the last block that you would have. So you have 256 addresses in each block, and how many blocks you would have? You would have 2,097,152 different blocks. Okay, so let's take a look at one sample block. Let's say the block ID has 200.11.8. Let's say 200.11.8 is the network ID. So if you look at this particular block, you can see that the node IDs that we have here would range from 200.11.8.1 all the way up to 211.11.8.254. So again, the last 255 and 0 are special addresses. So you have 256 addresses available in the block, out of which 254 nodes can be assigned unique addresses. So this is what we have in the different classes of addressing in IP. So a sample internet picture would look like this, where you have different networks being assigned different class addresses. So for instance, here I have a 220 network, which is a class C network connected by means of a router to another class C network which is in the 200 range. So here you can see that this is a 220.3.6 is the network ID here. The router R1 here will have an address in this network as well as in this network. Remember that it has two interfaces. Each interface will have a different IP address corresponding to that particular network on which it is on. So you have a 220 dot something address here and a 200 dot address over here. Similarly, you can see that the different routers here. Now this router is connecting this class C address to a class B address. So it has a class B network address on this side and a class C address on this side. So similarly, you can see that this is a router which is connecting a class A address to a class B address. So you can see that these are all class A addresses out here. So this is typically the way different classes of addresses would be connected up in a typical internet scenario. Now coming to some special IP addresses, we saw that when we were just looking at the addresses, that some addresses 0, all zeros, all ones were really used as special addresses. So just let's take a look at some of these special addresses. Now host ID 0 refers to a network address. That is, if I have IP address which says 203.1.10.0, here we know the 203.1.10 refers to a class C network address. The 0 here basically indicates that this address here is a network address. So host ID of 0, all zeros, indicates it is a network address. Host ID of all ones is a broadcast address. That is, if I have an address like 203.1.10.255, it indicates that it's a directed broadcast to this particular network address. So I specify the network address, and 255 here indicates that it will go to all the nodes which are there in this particular network address. So 0.0.0.0, this is another special address. This means this host on this network. This address is normally used when an IP address has not yet been assigned to a particular node, but it wants to communicate using the IP protocol, then it uses this special address. So similarly, 0.0.0.8 would mean host ID 8 on this network. This is rarely used. Other special addresses that we have are 255.255.255.255, which is all ones. This essentially is used to mean a broadcast to every host on this network. Remember, that's a local broadcast. We don't have the concept of a global broadcast in IP. So all ones would mean that your packet will go to all the nodes on your local network. Net ID plus all ones for host ID is a directed broadcast to the net ID. So we just saw an example of this. 230.1.10.255 is a broadcast address to 230.1.10.0. So 127, this is yet another special address. 127.x.x.x, whatever these are basically don't care. If you have 127, it's used as a local loopback address. So a loopback address would mean that whatever frames are sent to this particular address will be delivered back to you. It never goes out onto the network as such. Then we also have some other special addresses that are used. The 10 address, the 10.x.x.x, 172.16. something, 192.168. Now these are all special addresses which are used for private IP networks. That is, you can use these addresses on your local network, and you can't use these addresses to connect to the internet, but you can use these networks to configure your local machines with these IP addresses, so that you can run IP address based software on your local machines. That is, you are using IP to communicate within your network, so you can use addresses from this particular range. So these are used for private IP networks. So these are the different special addresses that we have. Now let's take a look at some problems that have come up with this classful addressing scheme that was originally propagated. So with a classful addressing scheme, we can see that many IP addresses could get wasted. Okay. For instance, if you take class A and class B network addresses, class A you can see uses about 50% of all IP address space, right. Similarly, class B uses 25% of all the IP address space, because it starts with a 0. All net IDs starting with a 0 are class A addresses. So it uses about 50% of the IP address space. Now second thing is, it does not allow for many small networks. We know that the smallest network size that you can have is 254. So less than 254, if you have a network, you still have to take up 254 addresses. You may not use all the 254 addresses, but you may waste some of the addresses over there, but that is another problem. Now this basically leads to fragmentation of the address space. That is, as I just told you, if I have a small network which requires only 60 nodes, I will still have to take a class C address. I am allotted 254 different addresses in the entire address space, but I use only 60 of them and waste the rest. Similarly, let us say I want 500 nodes in my network. Now if I want 500 nodes in my network, I necessarily have to take a class B address. A class B address can actually provide for 2 power 16 different addresses, but I am only using 500 of them and I will waste all the rest of the addresses. So this basically leads to fragmentation of the address space and leads to wastage of addresses. So this is a problem that essentially came up with respect to the class B and the class C address space. So to handle this, we needed to have a solution. The solution that was brought in was what is called as subnets, where what you do is you try to share a network address among many smaller networks. That is, if I want a class B address to be shared among many smaller networks, because a class B network can handle up to 2 power 16. Now that is a large number, 64,000 different nodes can be supported. Now the 64,000, instead of having one class B address with 64,000 nodes, I will use the same class B address, but I will divide it into multiple, let us say 64 different subnets, each having 1000 nodes. So then I can use one class B address to support 64 different network addresses, which we refer to as subnetworks. Okay, so let us look at how this subnetting gets done. So let us look at how this subnetting gets done. Now we take an IP address which consists of a network ID and a host ID in the normal class based addressing. Now we divide this host ID into a subnet ID and a host ID. So now we have 3 levels of addressing. We have a network ID, a subnet ID and a host ID. Okay. So if I have, for instance, 16 bits for my host ID as in a class B network, I could use 5 bits for the subnet ID. So I could have 2 power 5 different subnets, 32 different subnets, and each subnet would have 11 bits for the host portion. So 2 power 11 different hosts can be supported on each of these subnetworks. Now this network ID plus the subnet ID forms the local network ID. Okay. So with this we can have the same network ID shared among different subnetworks. Now the question is, how do I indicate how many bits actually correspond to the subnet portion and how many bits are the network portion and which are the host portion. Now network ID part is going to remain the same, because that is, you are taking a class B address or a class C address and then subnetting it. So basically it is in the host portion that I need to specify, which is now the subnet ID. That is done by means of what is called as a network mask. Now this mask essentially it's a 32-bit number with binary number which has values of all ones for that portion which corresponds to the local network ID. That is the network ID plus the subnet ID. These bits will all be ones and the host ID will have a value of all zeros. Okay. So, in this example, for instance, 4 bits of the host ID here are ones, right, and the rest of the bits indicate 0. So, you are having altogether 8 plus 8, 16 plus 4, 20 bits indicate the network portion and 12 bits indicate the host portion. So, you can see that to outside hosts it will look like all of them belong to one single network because they all only look at the network portion of the address. They do not look at the subnet. The subnet is looked at only when you come to the local router, which knows that there are different subnets that are used over here, and then it will use the subnet ID to identify the different networks and pass the packet to the correct subnet. So, now let us look at how this subnet mask is used to indicate the network portion. So, let us take a look at this. Now, let us say I have a default mask which is 255.255.0.0. Now, this you can see corresponds basically to a class B address, because in a class B address we know that the first 16 bits are the network portion, the rest are the node portion. Now, if I use subnetting over here where I say that the first 3 bits out of this will be used to indicate the subnet. Note that with 3 bits I can have 2 power 3, 8 different subnetworks. So, then I would say 225.225.224.0, that is 111 followed by all zeros. This number corresponds to value of 224. 224.0 would be given as my subnet mask. So, the subnet mask also is mentioned in the dotted decimal notation in this manner. Okay. There is also another notation that is used to specify the number of mask bits, which is called the slash notation. That is, I could specify a network ID, say 183.25.0.0 and say slash 19. Now, this indicates that the first 19 bits would be my subnet mask. That is, the first 19 bits would be ones and they indicate the subnet portion of the address. So, the same example here can be specified as 183.25.0.0 slash 19. So, the slash 19 corresponds to the subnet mask of 255.255.224.0. Okay. So, these are two different ways in which the subnet masks are normally specified. Okay. So, now let us take a simple example of how the subnetting would work. Let us take an example here. We have again a class B network which is subdivided into 16 subnets, each with up to 4K hosts. 4K into 16 is your 64K. Now, I am dividing into 16 different subnets. So, if I have 16 different subnets, then that means I would be using the first 4 bits of my network portion of the ID to indicate the mask, right. So, if I take a network 183.4.0.0, the net mask for this is 255.255.0.0, but when I subnet it, look at what my subnet mask will be. That will be 255.255.240.0. This 240 basically comes from the fact that the first 4 bits of this now are going to indicate the subnet portion. So, if I have first 4 bits as 1 and the rest as zeros, that corresponds to a decimal value of 240. So, 240.0, and the address is corresponding to the subnet 0 would be 183.4.0.1 to 183.4.15.254. Note that for all these host IDs, the network ID would be 183.4.0.0. Similarly, subnet 1 here would correspond to, will have a range of addresses from 183.4.16.1 to 183.4.31.254. Here all of them will have a net ID of 183.4.16.0. That is, if you apply the subnet mask on this range of addresses, you will get 183.4.16.0 as the subnet ID. So, third subnet will have an ID of 183.4.32.0 and the last subnet, 16th subnet, will have an ID of 183.4.240.0. So, you have 16 different subnets which are out here. So, inside of LAN you will be looking at this subnet addresses to indicate which subnet you need to go to. Outside of the LAN, from the network, from the internet scenario, we just look at it as a single network address, right. So, this is how a single network address is looked at as multiple different subnets when you come to the LAN where you are actually having the subnetting in place. Okay. Now, this is one possibility. We also have the possibility of having variable length subnets. We saw that in this particular example, all of the nodes had all the subnets had same number of nodes in them. You can also have different number of nodes in different subnets, that is also possible, and the usage of masks allows us to have all that kind of flexibility. Okay, so let us take this another example. How do you subnet 203.4.1.0/24? that is you are having 254 different host addresses to support the network shown below, right. I have servers, this is a 10 host network, then I have a chemistry network which is a 50 host network. I want 50 hosts again for physics, 50 hosts for my maths department, 20 hosts for my administration department. So let us say I have some kind of a campus network of this kind. Now how do I do subnetting here? This is 50 hosts, this is 50 hosts, this is 20 hosts and 10 hosts. So let us look at how subnetting is done here. So what I do here is, when I need 60 hosts, I need to go to the nearest power of 2 to that, which is 2 power 6, which is 64. So with 64 different hosts that can be subnetted, that has to be supported, I will need 6 bits for the host portion of it, right, and I will need 00 will be the first 2 bits will correspond to the network portion. So here I have 00 followed by 6 bits. So 00 followed by 6 bits over here will indicate the subnet. So the network ID I have here is 203.4.1.0. The network mask corresponding to this would be 255.255.255.192. Similarly, 01 is indicating of my second subnet with 62 hosts. So it has an address of again network mask of 192. Third subnet has a value of 10, again has a subnet mask of 192. The fourth subnet, I only need 30 hosts in it, so I have 110 as the beginning, and you can see that you use only 5 bits here for the host portion. So 30 bits. This has a subnet mask of 255.255.224, and similarly the last two have only 14 hosts in them, right, or 2 power we are talking about 10 hosts, the nearest power is 2 power 4 is 16, out of which 2 addresses are special addresses, so we can support up to 14 hosts, and the last 4 bits here indicate the host portion, the rest of the bits will indicate the network. So 1110 will indicate this network, 1111 will indicate this other subnet, and this is given to the science block and this is given to the server block. So this is how we achieve the variable length subnetting. So to summarize, what we have been looking at today is some of the details of the IP addressing. Basically, we are looking at how the 32-bit addresses are divided into different classes. We looked at some disadvantages that you have in the class based addressing and how subnets and subnet masks are used to take care of some of those disadvantages. So we will take a look at a few questions that will help you to summarize the topics that we have covered today. So question number 1, how many nodes can be present in a class A network? Question number 2, classify the following IP addresses: 127.24.34.56, 159.78.9.10, 192.20.10.11, 230.23.88.99. Why is subnetting used? Question number 4, what is a subnet mask? Question number 5, for the following subnet masks in slash notation, give the mask in dotted decimal notation: /22, /18, /26. Question number 6, what is the subnet mask required to specify a subnet with 800 hosts? These questions should give you a good understanding of the topics covered today. Thank you. Keywords.